Welcome back to Freaked Out with your psychic medium host, Liz. Everyone has been asking for a Gabby Petito update, so I figured since the documentary came out, I would go ahead and answer some of the questions that you guys have asked me. I do want to mention that yes, the Luigi episode is coming. I'm still working on it. It should be ready and available by the end of the week. Make sure you are on that member side because it'll be a really good episode. So I did want to mention that I did get a lot of negative feedback on my Liam Payne episode. So I figured I'd come on here and explain how I go about doing things. When it comes to doing these episodes, I like to give everyone the full picture. So I do provide details of their lives, little bits and pieces, just so that people are educated, because let's be honest, I didn't know much about Liam Payne, period, prior to coming into it. So I wanted to educate people in addition to giving the visions of what I see. So people constantly making comments like, these are not visions, these are facts, this and that and the other. Well, yes, of course. But the vision part of it is when Liam says, or Liam shows me. That's how I go about doing it. Let's go ahead and do it the way you guys want me to do it, which is just speaking to spirit directly and giving you those answers. It'll be a little bit less for me to deal with because it makes the episode shorter. So unless I am doing a case that people don't know anything about, unfortunately, I'm going to have to give the facts. But today's episode, it'll be just strictly what I see. All right. Before we get into it, I do want to mention one more time what we have coming up. Now, Brittany Murphy, I do plan to do something called Girl Talk with her. We will cover how she had died, what took place there, everyone's role in that, including the haunted house that she was living in, all of that. She also wants to talk about the boy drama and who treated her right, who didn't, all of the boy drama she dealt with. She's even talked to me about some sexual assault issues as well. So we're going to talk about all of that on a Brittany Murphy episode, and I cannot wait to share. I also plan to cover Matthew Perry here very soon as well. There are a lot of episodes we plan to cover. It's so weird. I was just going to cover Matthew Perry anyway, and then a documentary came out. So I figured if you guys want references, definitely take a watch of that. I believe it's on Peacock, and I don't know where else it's available on other applications. I do want to point out as well that we hit our 5K followers. I cannot stress how happy that makes me. Our next goal is the 10K, so hopefully we can get there soon. So guys, please continue to keep sharing with your friends and family that would appreciate this content. All right, now let's talk about Gabby Petito. So first question you guys asked me in relation to Gabby is, what was happening? What did she plan to do right before Brian had killed her? I've actually covered this on a podcast episode, and I do see, and did see back then as well, that she decided that she was going to take more of a sneaky approach with him. I don't feel like she was going to announce her departure from him, because from what she shows me, she was acting extremely standoffish with him ever since they got back together. He then made statements like, don't worry, we don't need to be together. It's fine. I don't deserve to be with you. You know, you don't deserve to be with me. Like, I feel like he was heavily gaslighting her because he knew that difference, that look in her eye was not the same look from the previous day. From what she shows me, he knew that she was planning to walk away, and she thought for a moment that he was being mature, and she was like excited because he was about to give her what she had been looking for a while, but this was like that final nail in the coffin. She was like, you know what? I'll drop you off wherever you want to go. I'll take you back home, but I think this is going to be where it ends. And he's like, no, I'm just going to leave now. And I feel like he had like a little temper tantrum, baby poopy moment. And that is why people were giving him rides left, right, and center. Because she was like, Brian, come back. I see that she was trying to get him to talk to her. And she felt really bad. She didn't want to just leave him on the side of the road because she obviously still cared about him. But she really knew that she couldn't be with him. And instead of just going along with it, which was her initial plan to just get to a safe location and then kind of end things, he kind of pushed it. So from what she shows me, she was not telling him, but then because he gaslit her, unfortunately, she shared. Now, from what I can see, where she was sitting, I see that she was on her phone. She might have been in the process of calling her ex-boyfriend, even calling somebody else that may not have necessarily been mentioned in the documentary. But she was on her phone and she did not see Brian coming up behind her. From what she shows me, he basically ripped her hair right out of her head and threw her on the ground. Now, I do see strangulation absolutely happening, but before that, I'm seeing a weapon, which I believe to be a rock. I always felt a rock surrounding hurting her. So I feel like that is what he did. Took the rock to hurt her, and then obviously the strangulation was ultimately what killed her. I see that she kept telling him to stop, please, leave me alone. She fought like hell, and she did scratch him up. Like, she didn't just take it, she fought him back. And I see that she was screaming. Unfortunately, nobody heard a damn thing. There were people that were driving by, but the van hid what was in fact happening. So Brian was very lucky in that sense, and no one saw exactly how things went down. Now let's talk about the ex-boyfriend. I don't feel like she was trying to get back with him by any means. A few people wanted to know that. What I see happened there was more so just somebody she felt like she could feel safe with, that she can trust. She shows me that he wasn't a bad guy and they just weren't in the same place. He also said that in the interview, but she also shows me that she ended things in a little bit of a pissy way, and or Brian also was involved in that. I believe they had planned to have like a platonic relationship, but Brian was not comfortable with that. In fact, I feel like they had many, many arguments about this ex-boyfriend as well. And then I feel like she basically had to send him a message and let him know she had no interest in communicating with him. Of course, I think that Brian made her do it. And that was even before they went down to Florida. That was very, very early on. Did he still have love for her? Yeah, she was a good one. And she still had love for him. She shows me that she thinks that later on, the two of them may have been able to make something work. Maybe not necessarily on the relationship side of things, but definitely a friendship and, having her kids, him having his kids, and then just being able to like talk to each other, just a friendship more than anything else. What happened after Brian killed Gabby? I mean, he obviously went home. He told his family. I know he told his family before he got home. They told him to come home. They told him to lie. They told him not to say anything to anyone. Don't talk to anybody. They made damn sure that they were protecting him regardless of the situation. Now, he positioned it to his mommy dearest that Gabby really hurt him, and that he didn't mean to do it, that she pushed him. And of course, his mom was like, you poor baby. Of course she did. I didn't like her anyways. She's rotten. She's crap. She's trash. Like, just the most despicable things. I know for me, obviously, you're always going to love your children deep down inside. But if your kid kills somebody, like, what? This woman is psycho. Now let's talk about the creepy letter that his mom wrote him. Can I just express that this was not the only letter? Like, I think there were other letters. I also believe that Brian had a few of these items with him as well. I also see like burner phones. They were trying to get him to escape. I also see that when somebody had contacted the police saying to do a welfare check on him because he doesn't sound good in the house, I think that was all staged as well. He had been gone a few days at that point. Mom and dad were trying to encourage him to run away to Mexico, fake IDs, going here, going there, going everywhere. Because let's face it, even when Brian was out there and people were doing the searches and they found him all over the place, he couldn't hide. He is not a good person to hide. He can't do it. And from what I gather, ultimately, the reason he ended up deciding to take his life in the first place is because he knew that he was going to be found. If I'm going to be honest, I really believe that there was an incestuous relationship between Brian and his mother, and she can deny it all she wants, but I see that she was under her husband's control. Brian did treat her very nicely. I don't see that she got along well with her daughter. Brian was her prized possession, and same with his father, but more so the mother. I believe that some really fucked up things happened in that house, and I'm not excusing Brian's behavior by any means because he should never have done what he did. But I believe that it stems from the abuse that carried on in that house. Plus, if you think about it, he was like mirroring his father's image. I feel like dad beat up on mom, mom beat up on her daughter. I feel like dad beat up on the daughter. I feel like nobody beat up on Brian when he was an adult, but he was definitely abused as a child as well. The manners and the yeses and the pleases and the thank yous, like those were the most important things. They didn't care if he did badly in school, if he hurt anyone else, if he misbehaved outside of that house, but he needed to do his chores. Yes, please. No, thank you. Good morning. Goodbye. Like, it is all a charade and bullshit. Yeah, okay, there's kids involved with the nephews and the nieces and all that, but it's very eerie. And I feel like she still to this day idolizes her son in the creepiest way possible. I also believe that mom and dad encouraged him to go. Mom and dad were trying to help him get out of there because they knew that his arrest would be coming soon. Now let's talk about Brian. When Brian left, and yeah, he was seen everywhere. Everyone was watching for him. When he left, I see that he went out the backyard. I know that there were people in and out outside of the house like all day and all night, but there was a period of time where people did in fact leave, or there was a limited amount of people, and he went out back. I feel like he went over the fence, and then I feel like that's when he went. I do see that he was in constant communication with his parents and a lawyer. The lawyer is very significant in all this. And everyone was trying to tell him, like, go here, go there, go here, go there. His mom did not want him to end his life. Now, from what I can see, he was trying to make it obviously look like he was not the one to do it, setting up an alibi, when in reality, obviously, we all know it was him. But he knew his life was over. He knew he was going to go to jail. There were cops that drove by him. I do believe drugs were also taken. I don't necessarily think like street drugs, but maybe like pharma medication from mom. I see a lot of drugs in his system and maybe a little bit of alcohol. There was obviously some money that he had to, but he didn't want to deal with this anymore. He knew that he could never get away from it, especially since there was so many people hunting for him. Nobody, and I mean nobody, was willing to help him. I see that he contacted this person, that person, whoever he could to communicate with to help him, but nobody wanted to. The only people that were interested in helping was mom and dad and the lawyer. This lawyer was trying to get him to get to Mexico, and they were going to do something crazy like an underground thing. I really feel like that was the direction he was supposed to go in, but because of the emotional trauma that was eating at him, like Gabby's death, watching himself, those images playing over and over and over in his head really fucked with him hard, and it should have. And I also see that subconsciously, Gabby was, it wasn't her, but it was like his mind making her talk to him and being like, you're such a pussy. I can't believe you did it. Why did you do that to me? You hurt me. Like she was being nasty. His subconscious form of Gabby was being very nasty to him, and he couldn't handle that. I know a lot of people keep thinking that he's still alive, and you know what? For a brief while, I thought so too. But I have talked to Gabby, and he is someone who has tried to get her in the afterlife, but she's very protected by her spirits. Nobody's letting him anywhere near her. He killed himself to be with her because he's incredibly self-involved. He did not want to go to jail. He didn't want to do any of those things. And he knew he was like very close to being caught. Now, before he killed himself, I do believe that that is when he contacted his mom and dad to basically say goodbye. I also see that the burner phone was destroyed and removed. And then I also see that he gave his parents instructions to where to find his body when he was ready to go. Obviously, his mom was in hysterics, crying, freaking out, not wanting to do anything. And they waited. I believe they waited a lot longer than Brian told them to wait. And of course, all the lies, the letters, everything, he just wanted to make himself look more innocent, but he knew he wasn't. From what Gabby shows me, she did not like that movie that came out about her. She did really like this documentary. She really enjoys her family members, not just one time going over, but many times. And that orb in that photo absolutely was her, and letting her whole family know that she was there with them. She also wants everyone to know that she's so appreciative that so many people fought to look for her. She does want everyone to know that the fight is not over. There are so many people missing, and they also deserve the same kind of effort for every single missing person, unsolved case that we currently have. So she wants everyone to put their best foot forward to help solve every case, not just her case, because she was incredibly broken inside out, and there are so many women that have just gone unnoticed. So many men that have gone unnoticed, and she wants us to pay attention. If we put in as much effort as we did into her case, as we did to others, imagine how many people we would find. She's at peace, though. She's not unhappy or angry or stressed out or worried. She misses her friends so much, and she's proud to know that many people have left their abusive situations because of her situation, because of her case. She shows me that she's still full of life. She's still traveling. She's still full of life. She's still traveling. Now, if you do have any other questions for Gabby Petito, please drop them in the comments section. And if I do have enough questions, I'll make another video. But that is all I have on Gabby's case today. Until next time, guys, stay freaked out.